I used to be an avid astronomy enthusiast. On clear nights, there was nothing I loved more than setting up my telescope and staring up at the stars. The vastness of the universe made me feel small, yet connected to something greater. I owned several telescopes, and on evenings when the sky was clear, I'd spend hours observing distant celestial bodies. But everything changed one night last summer. That night has haunted me ever since, and I haven't dared to look up at the sky again. It was a hot evening, with the kind of dry heat that lingers long after the sun sets. The sky was crystal clear, dotted with countless stars, each one sparkling like a tiny gem. I sat on my balcony, a cold beer in hand, feeling content as I gazed up at the heavens. As usual, I set up my telescope and began scanning the sky, searching for any familiar constellations or interesting planets. That's when I noticed something strange. In an area of the sky I had observed countless times before, there was a small, bright red dot. It was unlike anything I had seen in that part of the sky. Curiosity piqued, I adjusted my telescope to get a closer look. The dot wasn't just a star, it was a whole planet. The surface was a deep, ominous red, with dark, shadowy spots scattered across it like bruises on a fruit. Excited by the discovery, I immediately called one of my friends who shared my passion for astronomy. I described the location of the red planet and urged him to take a look. He was just as eager as I was and quickly set up his telescope. But then something strange happened. As I continued to describe what I was seeing, my friend told me that he couldn't find the red planet I was talking about. He said that he had searched the exact location I had given him, but all he could see were the usual stars, nothing out of the ordinary. I was baffled. How could I see it so clearly, but he couldn't see anything at all? Was it a trick of the light, a fault with my telescope? Determined to solve the mystery, I carefully inspected my equipment. Everything was in perfect condition. I hadn't imagined it. The red planet was still there, in plain sight, growing larger with every passing minute. It was as if the planet was moving toward me. I tried to rationalize it. Perhaps it wasn't a planet at all, but some kind of satellite or space debris or even a UFO. The possibilities raced through my mind, but none of them seemed to fit. It was moving too quickly, too deliberately. I needed answers, so I turned to the internet. I spent the next few hours scouring astronomical databases and forums, searching for any mention of this mysterious red object. But there was nothing. No one else seemed to have noticed it, and there was no record of anything similar in the region of the sky where I had found it. As I dug deeper, I came across an obscure article titled "That's Not an Ordinary Celestial Body." The title alone sent a chill down my spine. I hesitated, but my curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked on it. The article was written by a man named Bamuxia, who claimed that he and a friend had both been amateur astronomers. According to the article, his friend had once spotted a strange red star in the sky. After that night, his friend began to act strangely. He became paranoid, constantly looking over his shoulder, muttering to himself. Eventually, he lost his mind completely. Bamuxia went to visit his friend in the hospital, where his friend confessed that the red star wasn't a star at all. He insisted that it was a massive, bloodshot eye floating in space, watching him. Bamuxia didn't believe him at first, but his friend showed him a disturbing drawing of the eye, complete with a black, writhing pupil. The article continued with Bamuxia's investigation into other sightings of the red star. He discovered that several people had seen it, and they all shared a common trait: their eyes had turned bloodshot, and some even suffered from severe eye conditions that led to blindness. I felt a wave of unease wash over me. Could it be possible that what I was seeing wasn't a planet, but something far more sinister? I shook my head, trying to dismiss the thought. It had to be a coincidence, just an urban legend. But then I made the mistake of looking through my telescope again. The red object had moved even closer. It was no longer a small dot in the distance. It dominated the view through my telescope, filling the entire lens. And it was moving, not in a steady rotation like a planet, but in a chaotic, erratic manner. It spun and twisted in ways that defied logic. With trembling hands, I zoomed out, trying to get a clearer view. That's when I saw it for what it really was. It wasn't a planet at all. It was a massive, bloodshot eye. The dark spots I had seen earlier were veins, and the black pupil twitched and writhed as if searching for something. Then, it found me. The eye stopped moving and focused directly on me. I felt a cold sweat break out across my skin as the eye seemed to peer straight into my soul. It knew I was watching it. And then, in a flash, it lunged toward me. I screamed and fell backward, knocking over my telescope in the process. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrambled to my feet and looked up at the sky with my bare eyes. But the sky was empty. There was no eye, no red planet, nothing. I was left standing there, trembling, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Was it a hallucination, a nightmare? My mind raced, but no explanation made sense. I spent the rest of the night cowering under my blanket, too terrified to sleep. When morning finally came, I cautiously emerged from my bed. My eyes itched terribly, and when I looked in the mirror, I was horrified to see that they were bloodshot, just like the people in Bamuxia's article. I went to see a doctor, but he found nothing physically wrong with my eyes. Yet, despite the doctor's reassurances, my vision continued to deteriorate. Within a few months, I lost sight in one eye. Now, almost a year later, the nightmare continues. My remaining eye is slowly succumbing to the same fate. As I type this, I can feel it beginning to itch and burn, and I know it's only a matter of time before I lose my sight completely. But the worst part is that today, the world's headlines are filled with news of a newly discovered red celestial body. Astronomers have released footage of it, and it's spreading across the internet and television. Soon, the entire world will see it, the eye in the sky. And when they do, they'll end up just like me. This version expands on the story by adding more descriptions, emotions, and details to make it engaging for a longer video. Feel free to adjust or further expand on any sections if needed.